I really want this new Trailblazer set. It's so like Stevie Nicks core, and I need motivation and an excuse to do it. So I'm gonna sit here and talk to you guys. I realize I really haven't talked to you, like told a story or anything in like such a long time. I've been so hyper focused on role plays and game updates and stuff like that that I forget that I am a human being with many stories to tell. So here I am. Randomly the other night, I was laying in bed, staring at the ceiling because I couldn't fall asleep, and I was just thinking back to like high school because I hated high school. I hated school in general. I just hated everything about it. I hated the people. I just hated everything. The only part that I liked was learning. That's what got me through school, was just learning. I hated everything else about it. And I was just reminded of this guy I went on a date with when I was a freshman, and how it was actually terrible and like kind of ruined men for me for a while. After I met this guy, I had a different boyfriend after him, and I dated that guy for a year, and then I met my current boyfriend who I've been with for like 7 years. I think it's 8 years this year we've been together. I have to do the math. We got together when I was 16 and I'm 22 now, so basic addition that I can't do because I'm stupid. After I just said I loved learning in school, I was always bad at math. I think about this specific date from time to time because it's just one of those things that you think back on and you cringe. To this day, I just always sit like, oh my god, what was I thinking? Honestly. I was emo in high school. I mean, do you ever really grow out of it? No. I wouldn't even call it emo. I don't know, man. But that's the kind of stuff I was into, right? I had this friend who I'm still friends with to this day, I talk to them on and off, who knew another person who had a cousin. This cousin lived in, oh my god, I can't say that. This cousin lived like a good hour and a half away from me. We'll call him Jonathan. That's not his real name. Jonathan lived an hour and a half away from me. His cousin, we'll call the cousin Bruce. So I had known Bruce for like a year or so. We had a lot of mutual friends. And Bruce took note of my music taste and the stuff I was into. And he was like, you know, I have a cousin who's really into all that kind of stuff. You guys would probably get along or whatever. I don't remember the exact logistics. Like, this was almost 10 years ago, which is, oh god, I am so old. It was almost 10 years ago. When you think about it, Jesus Christ. So we had planned that I would meet Jonathan at Bruce's New Year's Eve party because his family threw like a huge New Year's Eve party every year, and his mom really liked me, so I figured, okay, that's fine, we can go. I'll meet him there or whatever. And I'm given Jonathan's Snapchat. Granted, I was a lot more outgoing back then than I am now, so I don't know. I just didn't realize life had consequences when I was that age. I don't think anybody does. So I literally just like started talking to him and like asking him a million questions. And I thought he was cute. It was kind of like an opposites attract kind of thing. But I was like, you know, I liked like My Chemical Romance, and I was into video games and all that kind of crap. I was classified as a nerd. And Jonathan was a football player that went to an all-boys Christian school. Not that the Christian part was a deal breaker. I'm just trying to say it was like two ends of the spectrum here, right? But we had a lot of the same interests. He liked the same kind of music, and honestly, I just lied when I said we had the same interests. The only interest we had was like music. At the time, I was still riding horses, right? But I don't think he understood what I meant when I said I rode horses. Like I did hunters. I rode English. He thought I was like barrel racing and stuff, and he thought I was like, I don't know, like a rodeo girl, like a cowgirl or something. I don't know. I wish I was. I wasn't. I was forced into hunters by my mother. So he thought I was into like fishing and hunting. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm sure nowadays I'd probably like to go fishing. It sounds relaxing, but at the time I wasn't like that. That was not what I was into. He was very country. He was a football player. A typical Florida boy. You know, that's basically what he was. But he was really nice, and he was cute, so I decided I would in fact meet him at this New Year's Eve party. So a few days before this party rolls around, I'm getting nervous because I'm starting to think like, do I really even like this guy? Like, I don't know. I wasn't sure. I was getting scared in a way. I don't know how to explain it. It was just a weird feeling. Like I'm gonna throw up feeling, but not in the good way, if that makes sense. I don't know how to explain it. But he's saying all this stuff like, I can't wait to see you. I'm so excited to see you. I can't wait to meet you. Oh yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah. Then he tells me he's actually 2 years older than me instead of 1. So I'm like 14 and he's like 16. Not that that's like a big age gap or whatever, but my mom probably was gonna flip her lid if she knew that. So the New Year's party rolls around. I'm there with my friend and I'm there with Bruce. It was one of those parties that adults throw as an excuse to like drink, but their kids are there anyway, and it's just really awkward, and that's kind of what was going on. And we were just up in Bruce's room watching, not playing, watching him play video games on his Switch. He didn't even offer us a controller or anything. He just wanted to play and have us watch. It was very, I don't want to say weird, but it was just boring. He would get mad when we would talk to each other because he wanted us to watch him. I don't know. It was just strange. Finally, Bruce is like, yeah, so Jonathan's here and he's looking for you. And I was like, what? How long has he been here? And Bruce is like, oh, he's been here for like an hour. I just didn't feel like telling you. And I was like, gee, thanks. That's really nice. I don't know why he didn't just text me himself. So I text him on Snapchat. I'm like, I didn't know you were here. And he's like, yeah, I am, blah, 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 blah. We meet. And it's not awkward, but he was like, I think way more into me than I was into him. And I know that's so selfish to say or like narcissistic, but that's the only time that has ever happened in my life where somebody has been like way more into me than I have been into them. And it was a little weird. He wanted to immediately like hold my hand and like put his arm around me and all that stuff. And we had never even talked about that kind of stuff like on Snapchat or anything. He was just like really touchy and I wasn't. I've never been a touchy person. So I didn't want to be mean to him because he was like really happy to see me. I was just kind of standing there like, haha, like even my friends noticed it. Like I was just kind of standing there like letting him like put his arm around me, and I was clearly like, guys, what do I do? But I didn't want to be mean. So the night goes on and I'm avoiding being alone with him just from how touchy he was at first. Like it was making me feel weird. We aren't alone for the rest of the night, and instead he comes up to Bruce's room and like watches us play whatever the heck, watches Bruce play his, I think it was Breath of the Wild, because this was around the time Breath of the Wild had just come out. That's how long ago this was. So we're all watching him do that. It was either Splatoon or Breath of the Wild. Not that it matters, but now I'm really like curious as to what he was playing and why I was so bored out of my mind watching him. But this guy, Jonathan, is still being touchy, like in front of everybody, and like I feel so awkward. PDA in front of people you barely know, it's just strange, especially when it's a girl you just met and you'd never talked about it prior. Like we weren't even together, we were just like talking in the talking stage, if you will. I have to go home. I was always the first one that had to go home because my mom was like overprotective, so I had to leave at like 10 before like the new year even had happened. And he was like begging me to stay, like, no, don't go, my parents can drive you home. And I was like, I do not want to meet your parents just yet. I don't want to. That's not, no. Of course I didn't say it like that. I was a lot nicer about it. I was just like, no, it's fine. My mom's gonna come get me. She's already on the way here. It's whatever. I have to be up tomorrow anyway. I didn't. So my friends, they knew I was uncomfortable and it was like a crappy thing for them to do, but they were like, we'll leave you two alone so you can say goodbye. And I was like, oh my god, please don't. But they did. And I'm sitting outside waiting for my mom, and he's with me, and he tries to make a move. He definitely was like trying to kiss me, right? And I dodged it and I gave him a hug, and thank god my mom pulled up. A few days go past, I didn't really answer him, and I know that's kind of mean to just ghost somebody like that. He was just like, it was so nice seeing you, and blah 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 blah, and I didn't answer. A few days later though, I felt bad, and I was like, yeah, it's really nice meeting you, sorry, I was just busy with the holidays and stuff, and blah blah blah, and he understood. That was the problem, was that he was painfully nice, right? Like so painfully nice. It was almost ridiculous how nice he was. He starts talking to me, and at the time, I forget what movie was out. I don't remember. It was definitely something I didn't want to see. I'm pretty sure it was something I didn't want to see. It was like a super like kind of quote unquote boy movie, like something I wasn't interested in. He asks me if I want to go see it, and I don't answer at first, and I go to Bruce and I'm like, man, I feel bad, but like I don't think I really want to go out with your cousin. Like this is like just really awkward. New Year's was really awkward. And then Bruce is like, well, he's just a nice guy and you just gotta give him a chance. He's really nice, and don't do this to him. You'll break his heart. Like he really, really likes you, bro. Like he thinks you're awesome. And I was like, great. That's just great. Bruce sat there for like a good 25 minutes trying to convince me not to just like end things before they even started with his cousin, and he started to guilt trip me. He started to guilt trip me and was like, he's such a nice guy, I promise. His last girlfriend cheated on him, so he probably just thinks he has to be super nice to you to win you over. And I was like, okay, well, that's okay, whatever, I guess. So I feel bad and I say yes, I will go see this movie with him. So a few days before it's time to see the movie, I'm like already wanting to back out. Like I keep telling my mom, can you please make an excuse for me not to go? Like I really don't want to go. He's really touchy and like over the top, and I don't really know if I like him. And my mom's like, let me see a picture of him. Let me see a picture of him. So I show her a picture of him, and like I said, he was cute, and my mom wants to live vicariously through me. She always has. She's like, no, Amelia, he's so handsome. You can't let somebody like that get away. Just give him another chance. Give him another chance. And she's like, you need to get out of the house anyway. Like, just go. It'll be fun. And if you don't like it, then you can just call it off then. Mom, please. And she was like, no. She was basically forcing me to go. She's like, you can't cancel now. That's rude. And I was like, there's still like 3 days before I have to go. And she was like, no, you're gonna regret it if you don't go. I have a good feeling about this. And you know, with the way things went all my life, hearing my mother say I have a good feeling about this should have been a dead giveaway that it was not in my best interest. I mean, we know that now. So my mom doesn't even drive me to the movie to go see him. She sticks me in an Uber. I'm not sure why. And I remember I was shaking in this Uber. Like I was shaking, I was nervous, I felt like I was gonna throw up, and I have never felt like that before, especially over a boy. Boys weren't something that made me nervous. Like I had been around horses my whole life. Like you think a boy was gonna make me nervous? So that's how I knew something was off. That's how I knew I didn't want to be there, because it wasn't like there's butterflies in my stomach, like I like him so much, I'm so excited to see him. It was like I'm gonna puke because I don't want to be here and I don't want to be around this guy because he freaks me out. Because he freaked me out a little. He was just, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain it. You would have to be there. So how do I get over here? Sorry, I'm lost. I show up to the mall because the movie theater was in the mall. He's late. And I don't really care. I was kind of happy that he was late. It was a little awkward just sitting there by myself for like 45 minutes waiting for him. The movie hadn't started yet because we were supposed to go eat first. Before the movie starts, he ends up getting there. And as soon as he sees me, he hugs me and then just locks his arms around me and just smashes his face on mine. And this is so like gross, right? He's kissing me. I'm not kissing him back. I'm trying to pull away. This is in front of like people too. I'm pulling away and he's tongue and all. He's trying to kiss me like that. And I pull away and I physically go, oof, like that. And I jolt back and I push him off. And I was like, sorry, I'm really nervous is what I said. And he was like, no worries. I'm nervous too. Don't worry. I'm sorry. I just really like you. And I was like, thanks. I think he was expecting me to say, I really like you too, but I didn't. And I just let him know. I said, just a forewarning, I'm not very touchy. And he goes, oh no, it's okay. I get that. I'm just really affectionate. And I was like, all right, well, I'm not. So we had like 20 minutes to kill before like the preview started on the movie we were seeing. So he was like, do you want to go to the food court? And I said yes. There was like a Chick-fil-A, a Taco Bell, a Subway, and a Chinese place. So he's like, what do you want to eat? And oh my god, I didn't know that made you restart the whole race. He's like, what do you want to eat? And I said, I like Taco Bell. And he was like, I don't want that. We're gonna get Chinese food. And I was just like, oh, okay, well, my mom gave me money. I can pay for my own food. And he was like, no, no, no. I'll buy the food. You gotta try this Chinese food. It's so good. And I was like, you've had it before? And he goes, no, I just know it's good because Chinese food is good. And I was like, okay. That's awesome. So we sit down and we eat. He gets me an egg roll and like noodles, something I don't eat in general. And I'm like not touching my food. He's just talking, not letting me get a word in. So I'm just listening to him talk, basically. I'm basically just listening to him talk, and all he's talking about is how all these girls at his church like him. And they're obsessed with him and they all want to date him and they all want to like court him and stuff. And I'm like, okay, that's great. And then he says he doesn't like them though because, and I don't know like a family friendly term for this. He says it's because they're all this gardening utensil right here up on the screen. And I was just like, that's kind of mean to say about girls that go to your church. And he's like, yeah, well, they just go to church to like prove that they're like not what I think they are, you know, the gardening tool. And I was like, okay. And he's like, that's why I like nerdy girls like you, because you would never run around with guys like that. Okay, thanks. So it was just really awkward. He was just talking about himself. Every time I would open my mouth to say something, he would just keep talking. And he talked really badly about other women, which is always a red flag. And I think even at 15, I knew that that was like not right at all. So then next, he finally lets me talk about myself for a second, and I talk about horses because that was something I liked, clearly. So you like rodeo? And I was like, no, I don't rodeo. I jump and stuff. The thing that pissed me off the most was him saying, you look pretty fit for not doing a sport. And I was like, what are you talking about? I do a sport. I horseback ride. And he says, well, the horse does all the work. And I chose to pick my battles that day, and I did not respond. And I said, hey, yeah. So thank God, it's finally time for the movie, so I don't have to listen to him talk anymore. I'm starting to realize that my first feeling on New Year's about not liking him was right. And I think my body was warning me that he might have just been not only physically weird, but have a lot of weird opinions too. And I feel like my intuition knew that, and I could kind of smell it on him, but I didn't have like proof of that. And everybody was saying, he's such a nice guy, give him a chance. So we're sitting in the movie, and he is continuously trying to like hold my hand and put his arm around me, and all I could think about was going home. That was all I was thinking about, was I wanted to go home. So there's a point in the movie where he like takes my face and forces me to look at him, and he's just staring at me. Like he's just staring at me dead on. And I'm like trying to watch the movie. Like I hadn't been watching the movie the entire time, but now that I know he's staring at me, I'm trying to watch it. Suddenly I'm really interested in this movie. He keeps like trying to get me to look at him. I can feel him staring at me, but if I know that if I look at him, he's gonna try and kiss me again, and I don't want to. I'm hyper focusing on this movie, and then I sneeze, and he goes, bless you, and I accidentally look at him after saying thank you for blessing me after I sneezed. And he tries it again. He leans in, and I turn my head, and he ends up kissing me on the cheek. So then I say, I need to go to the bathroom. I go to the bathroom. I don't actually have to go to the bathroom. And I call my mom, and I'm like, Mom, I need you to come get me. I don't like this guy. He keeps touching me. His opinions are super weird. He opened the date by eating my face without even asking me. Like, I don't want to be here. I don't. And my mom's like, oh my gosh, don't be so ridiculous. And I'm like, Mom, I want to go home. please just come get me. And she's like, but he's supposed to take you home. His parents are supposed to bring you home. And I was like, Mom, I don't want to go home with this guy. Like, I don't feel safe and he keeps touching me and I don't want to touch him. So she finally caves and she's like, all right, I'll call you an Uber in 20 minutes, but you owe me money. Next time you get money for your birthday, you have to give me 20 bucks for this Uber. And I'm like, whatever, Mom, as long as I get out of here, I don't care. So I go back into the movie theater and I stand on the side, like the hallway that you walk in and the seats are to your left or to your right, and I wave him down and I tell him to come here. On the spot, I think up a lie, and I tell him that my uncle has gotten into a car accident and I have to go see him in the hospital because he's really hurt. I didn't say he was dying or anything. I knew that was morally wrong to say somebody just died if they hadn't, but I needed to think of something extreme to just have him understand, because he was the type of person that was like, if I was like, I don't feel good, like I need to go home, he'd be like, oh my gosh, do you want to come over and we can just chill at my house instead? I needed something like, not sinister, but something that was over the top, that it had to be a family only thing. I couldn't just say family emergency because he would have been like, oh my gosh, what happened? So I just said my uncle was in a car accident. So we're saying goodbye. I'm trying to leave. I'm pulling away from him. The Uber's nowhere near, but I was just gonna wait outside in the dark until it got there. That's how much I wanted to leave. I don't kiss him back again. I feel bad for not. So I hug him and I say, this was really fun, bye. But you know what? That's fine. I didn't need him to walk me out because, you know what? I was probably relieved he didn't walk me out. So I sit there and I wait for the Uber and it finally comes. My Uber driver is this sweet old lady. And I'm telling her like how I just had the worst like date of my life. Like he was really weird and he kept touching me when I didn't want him to touch me. And she's like, oh honey, like people like that are never good news. And she said I dodged a bullet, which I think I did. Now this probably doesn't seem that bad to you, like, oh my gosh, he was just overly affectionate. Well, the thing is, no is a full sentence. I told him prior I didn't like to be touched that much. I pulled away constantly and he still did it. This isn't even the worst part though. He texts me after the movie's over, I presume. Oh, I'm so sad you couldn't stay. Can you send me a picture of you in the hospital? And I was like, oh God. And I was like, no, I just got home. I went and saw him and he's okay. He's stable. So I'm home now. And he was like, oh, okay. So when would you like to hang out again, since this time didn't really go to plan? And I was like, I don't know. I have to ask my mom. My mom's like really overprotective. I kind of had to like fight tooth and nail to go on this date in the first place. And he was like, oh, okay, no problem. And he doesn't text me for a few days. I don't bother texting him first, obviously, because I had no interest. And then suddenly I get a text from my friend and they say that Jonathan knows I was lying to get away from him and that he thinks I'm a biatch and this specific gardening tool and I am just like all the others. So I was like, okay, well, you should hear the way he talks about women and the things he said to me and how he kept touching me. Like, you can't do that to somebody and you shouldn't be criminalized just for not liking somebody. So I text him on Snapchat and I say, hey, I'm sorry I've been so, weird, but I didn't like the way you were super touchy with me after I told you I'm not a touchy person. I don't like the way you talked about women and I don't like the way you just rushed into things the first time we met. So he leaves me on red for a few days, right? And then finally he texts me back and he says, whatever, I have a new girlfriend and she would never treat me the way you did. And I said, first of all, we weren't even together. Like, you even said that. Like, we were just going on 2 dates. And he was like, you didn't want to take it seriously. And I was like, well, you didn't take it seriously when I said I didn't want you to touch me all the time after I just met you. So he just starts calling me a bunch of names and saying I'm a gardening tool amongst other crude terms for women. If I had known you were like this the whole time, I would have never gone out with you. And then he says some stuff like how I think I'm special, like I'm full of myself, or like he's the best I'll ever get. Good luck finding someone else like him. a man will never want me. And I was just like, oh my God, like, and you wonder why, like, girls don't want to date you. This is exactly why. So he's just talking to the wall at that point. He's arguing with the wall. He's he's saying just insulting me, sending paragraphs, blah 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 blah, bunch of other crap that didn't make any sense. And then he just stops. He stops. I watched him for years go through girlfriend after girlfriend, and then every time those girls would leave him, he would make super like depressed Instagram stories about it. And then there were a few times after he would get broken up with, he would post like, in the gym, working off what she did to me, gym era, never let women dictate your life. And I was just like, good God, like, I dodged a bullet. Like, thank God it didn't go as far as it could have, but it was genuinely the worst date I have ever been on. So that's the story. Honestly, there is a lesson to come out of this. If you don't like somebody from the get-go and your body is telling you that you don't like them, my body was physically rejecting him. The second I met him, I knew I didn't want to be near him. Like, I didn't want to touch him and I didn't want to be near him. Like, I just didn't like him. And that was like the first time I ever felt like that around a boy, because I had a boyfriend before that and I never felt like that before, where I just didn't want them to be near me. And he was a rather good person. We had to break up because he moved away. And then after that, I never really felt like that with a few other guys I dated either, because they just weren't 100% terrible people. I mean, obviously there's reasons I'm not with those people anymore. My body has never physically rejected somebody like it did that day. So if you have that feeling, if your body is physically cowering from somebody against your will, listen to that and don't let your mother or the guy's cousin guilt trip you into going on another date, because that's just ridiculous. And I wish I had just listened to myself. There's no point in being a people pleaser, because that night at the movie theater could have gone so much worse. It really could have. Anyway, that's my story for today. If you have any terrible dates, let me know. Maybe I'll make a video out of your terrible dates as well. But that was mine. I'm sure I could pull out a few more. That was like one of very many. That was genuinely the worst one I've ever been on, just because I didn't like him at all. I had to pause a few times while filming this and just cringe and like gag. Like, I just remembered all of it and ugh. Anyway, thank you so much for listening to me, app. If you would like more story times, please let me know. I do miss doing them, and I have a lot of stories because I'm an ancient granny. So yeah. That's it. All right. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.